She fined me $500 because my grass was 2 inches too tall, so I decided to ruin her life. Welcome to Whispering Pines, a neighborhood with a name so fake sweet it gives you cavities just saying it. White fences, manicured lawns, dads with power washers, moms with wine tumblers that say things like "Mom Juice." You know the place. I moved in 3 years ago. Modest 2-story, blue shutters, wraparound porch that creaks like it's trying to tell ghost stories. It was a good deal. Quiet. Safe. My daughter, Ellie, was 5 at the time. She'd just learned how to ride her bike without training wheels. I still remember the first time she looped around our cul-de-sac, wobbling but free. That's why I bought this house, for peace. For family. Then Karen happened. At first, she was just background noise. She ran the HOA like it was a Fortune 500 company. Wore a visor, even when it wasn't sunny. Clipboard always in hand. If she smiled at you, it felt like a trap. The first letter came in July. Violation. Grass height exceeds HOA standard by 2 inches. Fine. $500. Due in 7 days. I thought it was a mistake. My mower broke the week before, and I hadn't gotten around to replacing it. Life happens, right? Wrong. I walked over to her house. Knocked. She opened the door before I could even finish raising my hand. "Hi, I think this fine was sent in error." She cut me off. "It wasn't. Your lawn is a disgrace. This isn't that kind of neighborhood." She actually said that. I stared at her stunned. She had one of those smiles where the mouth curves up but the eyes stay dead. "It's 2 inches," I said. She looked down at her clipboard like it had the final word of God on it. Rules are rules. That was the beginning. What started as a single fine turned into a campaign. A war. She started walking past my house every morning, pen in hand, jotting notes like she was writing my obituary. Trash cans too visible? Warning. When knocked over a recycling bin? Violation. Christmas lights still up on January 2nd? $150 fine. One day, Ellie was drawing with chalk on the driveway. Just little flowers and hearts. Karen walked by and said, "Sidewalk art is vandalism. HOA guidelines." I laughed. Thought she was kidding. She wasn't. Next day, warning letter. That's when it got personal. This wasn't about grass anymore. Or rules. It was about control. Power. And people like Karen? They don't stop unless you make them. I tried going to the HOA board. Useless. They were all just little Karen clones, nodding along like bobbleheads in polos. I even tried trimming every blade of grass with scissors. Didn't matter. She'd find something else. And the worst part? Ellie started asking, "Daddy, are we in trouble?" That's when I knew. She wasn't just coming for me. She was coming for my peace, my family, my home. So I made a decision. If Karen wanted a war, I'd give her one. And I don't play fair. Let's just say, Karen had secrets. And I had time. Next time she came for me, she had no idea I'd already started digging the hole she'd fall into. One email at a time. After the chalk incident, I started documenting everything. I didn't know exactly how I'd fight back yet, but I knew I'd need receipts. Karen was the kind of person who operated in the shadows, smiling to your face, stabbing your mailbox when you weren't looking. So I bought a little notebook. Wrote Karen Crimes on the front. Dumb? Maybe, but necessary. Because things only got worse. Monday, 8:12 a.m., I left the trash cans out past 8 a.m. Boom. $50 fine. Obstructing neighborhood aesthetic, she wrote. I was still drinking coffee when I heard her highlighter scratching away on her clipboard like she was auditioning for CSI, Suburbia. She didn't say good morning. She never did. Thursday, 3:17 p.m., I let Ellie have a lemonade stand. She made $12. Karen came by, squinted at the table, and said, "Did you file for a temporary business permit?" I laughed. She's 6. HOA doesn't exempt minors from commercial activity rules. Next day, another warning. I swear, she was just waiting behind a bush with binoculars and a hate boner for joy. Saturday, 10:46 a.m., a delivery guy dropped off a new grow. Left the box by the garage. I went inside to get scissors. 5 minutes. 5. When I came back, Karen was already there. You know HOA rules prohibit leaving large items in public view. It's not in public. It's my driveway. Driveways are common-facing. That counts. You're standing on my lawn. She looked down, then stepped back like she'd just touched a toilet seat. Warning issued anyway. 2 weeks later, she started spying. Not subtle. She'd walk her little rat dog Biscuit by my house at least 4 times a day, always stopping to stare. Sometimes she'd take pictures. No shame. Once, she crouched down by my mailbox and pretended to tie her shoe. Except, she wasn't wearing laces. Just those weird slip-on nurse shoes. I watched her from my window. She looked up and smiled. I shut the blinds. Ellie asked, "Why does that lady hate us?" I didn't have an answer. Then came the sprinklers. My timer was off by 20 minutes one night. They clicked on at 4:20 a.m. instead of 4 o'clock. And somehow Karen noticed. 3 days later, I got a formal letter. Violation of quiet hours and water conservation guidelines. $100 fine. I called her. She picked up on the first ring. "You're kidding with this one, right?" "Excuse me, you're actually keeping a spreadsheet of sprinkler activity?" "I take community standards seriously. Maybe if you did, we wouldn't be having this conversation." I hung up. 10 seconds later, she emailed me the bylaws, with highlights. Then came the letter from Animal Control. Apparently, a concerned citizen reported my dog was off-leash. Here's the kicker, I don't have a dog. But I got a warning anyway. Karen's the kind of person who would call the fire department because your grill smelled too smoky. And probably send them photos. Labeled. The worst was when Ellie's birthday came around. We set up a small bounce house in the backyard. Just 5 kids. Cake. Streamers. Nothing wild. Karen came by halfway through. Knocked on the gate like she was the damn sheriff. "You didn't file for a backyard event." "Karen, it's a birthday party." She's 7. There are noise ordinances, guest limits, safety hazards. She pointed to the bounce house. It's 12 feet tall. That violates airspace visibility codes. I blinked. "Are you saying this violates airspace?" She nodded. "I've already submitted a notice." She walked off. Ellie looked up at me with frosting on her face. "Is that lady coming back?" "Not today, sweetie." But she did. Next morning, I found the party banner in my trash can, soaked in dish soak. So now we had crossed into sabotage. And I started to lose it a little. I put up a fake security camera on the porch, just to mess with her. 2 hours later, she posted on the community forum, "Friendly reminder, surveillance equipment must be approved by HOA Security Board," followed by a passive-aggressive quote from Benjamin Franklin about privacy. I started dreaming about catapults. Not metaphors. Actual catapults. But here's where it really turned. One night I was in the garage, just organizing some shelves. It was around 9 p.m. I heard click, then a flash. Karen, at the end of my driveway, taking pictures. Again. I stepped out. "Hey, what are you doing?" She didn't even flinch. "This is a safety inspection. At night, I have a right to document violations." She turned and walked away like she was the damn HOA Batman. And I stood there, jaw clenched, wondering what the hell I'd gotten myself into. I knew then it wasn't going to stop. Karen wasn't just annoying. She was a machine, fueled by rules, ego, and the shriveled remains of what I can only assume was once a soul. So I decided to go from reactive to proactive. She wanted to play surveillance? Fine. I bought real cameras. 3 of them. Hidden in birdhouses, solar-powered, motion-activated. I started tracking her movements like she tracked my lawn height. Let's just say, Karen wasn't exactly following all her own rules. But more on that later. Because the final straw wasn't the spying, wasn't the sabotage. It was what she did at the town hall meeting, where she stood up and publicly accused me of harassing her. With tears. Fake ones. And everyone believed her. Even the board. That was the night I stopped playing defense and started planning her downfall. After the town hall meltdown, everything changed. Karen didn't just see me as a bad neighbor anymore. She painted me as some unhinged menace stalking her with a clipboard of my own. And somehow, the board believed her. "She's crying," one of them whispered after the meeting, like that alone was evidence. I tried to speak, tried to explain. "She's harassing me. I have proof." But Karen fake sniffled and looked at me like I was a ticking bomb in a hoodie. They shut me down. Fast. "Let's all de-escalate," they said. "Let's try to be civil." Civil? That was the last time I went to one of those HOA meetings. I walked out mid-sentence. The whole room watched me like I was the villain in a suburban horror movie. And outside? Karen smiled at me in the parking lot. Just smiled. Didn't say a word. Didn't need to. That same week, I got a visit from the police. 2 cruisers. Lights off. Just rolled up slow one evening while I was grilling dinner. Ellie was inside coloring. I was flipping burgers. "Sir, we received a call about a possible domestic disturbance." I blinked. "What?" Neighbors said they heard shouting. Possible threats. Screaming. I stared at the officer. The only sound here is me arguing with this overcooked cheeseburger. They did a quick walkthrough anyway. Asked to speak with Ellie. She told them we were making dinner and listening to Taylor Swift. They apologized. Left. But they wouldn't tell me who called. Spoiler, it wasn't the Tooth Fairy. Next morning? Letter from the HOA. Police visits must be disclosed. Fines may apply for repeated disturbances. I swear, she was weaponizing the rulebook like it was the Patriot Act. Then came the landscaping inspection. Karen brought a tape measure to my yard. Measured the grass, the mulch border, the angle of my mailbox post. She said, "This leans 3 degrees to the left." I said, "So does my political alignment. Call the cops." She didn't laugh. She just wrote something down. Ellie was watching from the porch. Why is she always here? I didn't answer, because I didn't know anymore. Then it got personal. One morning, Ellie's tire was flat. Her little pink bike with tassels and a unicorn bell. I went out to fix it, but the cap on the valve stem was gone, unscrewed, and the air had been let out intentionally. Not a nail, not a leak, just petty sabotage. Ellie came out, helmet on, all excited for her ride to school. "Daddy?" I told her maybe we could walk today. Her face crumpled. That was the moment. Not the fake police report. Not the fines. Not even the grass measuring. It was seeing my kid upset because someone wanted to win at being cruel. A few days later, Karen filed a formal complaint about our Christmas lights. It was September. They weren't even up. She claims she saw me testing them. I showed the board our storage closet. Still sealed boxes. Still tangled in gilt and old tinsel. Didn't matter. I got a preemptive warning for something that didn't exist. Like we were living in Minority Report, HOA edition. My wife, yeah, I haven't mentioned her yet. That's because she's a saint and somehow still tries to see the best in people. Until now. She started coming home from work early. Said she didn't want me to deal with Karen alone. That was her wording. Like it was a medical diagnosis. She started triple-checking the security cameras. Kept Ellie close. Always watched out the window when she played in the yard. We started keeping blinds closed. Lights off early. It felt like we were living under siege. In our own home. Because of one woman with a clipboard and an unholy sense of purpose. Then Karen started messing with my job. I work remotely. IT consultant. My setup is in the upstairs office, big monitor, 2 laptops, a camera for client calls. One morning, I was on Zoom with a finance firm in Chicago. Serious gig. Big pitch. Right in the middle of it? Leaf blower. Not even on her property. She was in my yard. Just blowing leaves in a circle. Back and forth. Back and forth. I muted my mic, went downstairs. Opened the door. Karen. She turned. Smiled. Leaves were drifting from your property into the street. I'm helping. You're blowing them into the street. She shrugged. Better than blowing them into my yard. I wanted to say something. Something loud. But I looked past her. 2 of her little board buddies were down the sidewalk, phones out. Recording. Just waiting. So I shut the door. Went back upstairs. And stared at my screen while the client looked confused and asked, "Do you live next to a jet engine?" That night, I couldn't sleep. Just sat on the porch. Listening. Thinking. Waiting for the next shoe to drop. Because it always did. Karen had made it her full-time job to harass us. She patrolled the neighborhood like a dictator with a Fitbit. Nothing escaped her. She once fined a guy because his car tires were too muddy. Another neighbor got a warning for having aggressive wind chimes. She once took a drone out to inspect someone's roof. But with us, it wasn't about rules anymore. It was a campaign. Deliberate. Strategic. Ongoing. Death by 1,000 petty cuts. And it worked. We stopped hosting friends. Ellie stopped playing outside. My wife avoided Karen like she had the plague and a megaphone. And me? I started feeling like a guest in my own house. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just HOA drama. This was war. And I was losing. But I hadn't fought back. Not really. Not yet. Because I was still hoping she'd get bored. That she'd move on. That she'd find another victim. But no. Karen was the kind of person who finishes what she starts. So I decided it was time I did the same. Enough was enough. She wanted control? I'd take everything she loved and burn it down, metaphorically, of course. Probably. Her position. Her reputation. Her spotless, rulebook-perfect kingdom. I'd tear it all down, piece by piece. And for once, Karen wouldn't see it coming, because while she was busy measuring lawns, I was digging through her dirt. Revenge isn't about explosions or evil laughs. It's about math, patience, timing, pressure, and documentation. Lots of documentation. Karen made a mistake thinking I was just some angry guy with overgrown grass. What she didn't realize is I've worked in IT for 12 years. I don't forget things. I catalog them. So that night, after the leaf blower ambush, I cracked my knuckles and got to work. First, I started with the HOA handbook. All 83 pages of it. Printed it out. Highlighted it. Tagged it with sticky notes like I was preparing for a courtroom drama. Turns out, Karen loved quoting the rules, but she wasn't great at following them. Examples? Oh, I had examples. Violation number 1. She had decorative lawn gnomes. 3 of them. Page 12, Section C. No non-seasonal figurines exceeding 12 inches in height or in groups larger than 2. I measured them. Each one, 16 inches. And she had 3. Violation number 2. Her dog, Biscuit. That yappy little gremlin. Page 29. All pets must be leashed in common areas. Repeated off-leash incidents are subject to fine. I had video. Biscuit running around like he owned the sidewalk. Karen with the leash in her hand, but not on the dog. 3 separate days. 3 separate files. All time-stamped. Violation number 3. She rented out her basement on Airbnb. You're not supposed to do that. HA rule number 17. No short-term rentals without explicit board approval. Guess what? I booked it. Under a fake name. Paid the deposit. Got the confirmation. Even left a glowing review. Host was great. Real power trip vibes. Screenshot. Saved. But that was just the easy part. I needed more. I needed firepower. So I started talking to neighbors. Carefully. Quietly. Like I was planning a heist. Most people were hesitant at first. Karen had this way of making everyone feel like she was watching. But once they realized I wasn't crazy, and once I showed them the binder I'd started keeping, yes, a binder, they started opening up. Frank across the street? Fined $75 for hanging his flag too early before Memorial Day. Judy next door? Got a violation for scent pollution because her barbecue smelled too strong. Even the Johnsons, who literally never leave the house, said Karen knocked once to say their shutters looked tired. She said their shutters looked tired. What does that even mean? One by one, they started giving me stories. Photos. Screenshots of emails. Even footage from old security cameras. I made folders. Cross-referenced timestamps. Built a little database. This wasn't a feud anymore. It was a case. And Karen? She was the defendant. But I needed a strategy. I didn't want to just get even. I wanted to end it. So I made a list of plans and crossed them off one by one. Bad idea number 1, publicly confront her at the next HOA meeting. Tempting, but too risky. She'd twist it. She always did. Turn the tables. Cry on cue. Walk away looking like the victim. Nope. Too obvious. Bad idea number 2, sabotage her lawn in return. Childish. Also illegal. Plus, I'd look guilty. And I wanted my hands clean. Bad idea number 3, send anonymous letters to the board exposing her. Cowardly. And easy to dismiss. She'd say it was a disgruntled homeowner or a malicious smear campaign. Sound familiar? Yeah. No. I needed something smarter. More surgical. So I spent 3 nights just reading old HOA minutes, public tax records, anything with her name on it. And that's when I found it. The loophole. Turns out, Karen didn't win her position. She appointed herself. Technically, the HOA president before her moved out midterm. Karen was the vice president. She quietly bumped herself up, held a private vote with 2 of her friends on the board, and never told the neighborhood. No public notice. No election. No announcement. That's a big no-no. HOA guidelines clearly state leadership changes must be voted on by the homeowners. Guess what didn't happen? Bingo. Now I had the angle. It wasn't just about the fines or the spying or the targeted harassment. Karen had no legal right to be in charge at all. She was running this neighborhood like a queen, and nobody had even elected her. So the plan formed. Simple in theory, complex in execution. But first, I needed support. I printed flyers. Nothing dramatic. Just, has the HOA affected you unfairly? Want change? Meet me at my driveway. Saturday at 5 p.m. Just listen. No threats. No drama. Just an invitation. I slid them under doors early Saturday morning and waited. At 5 p.m. sharp, I had 11 people on my lawn. By 5:15, 23. By 5:30, we had folding chairs and snacks. Someone brought lemonade. It looked like a weird barbecue, but it worked. I showed them everything. The gnome rule, the leash rule, the Airbnb receipts, even the election fraud. There were gasps, laughter, a few swear words. Even the Johnsons came out. I hadn't seen them in 2 years. By the end, we had a vote. A real one. 23 people. Unanimous. We want her out. The next step was paperwork. I pulled the official bylaws. Found the clause on leadership challenges. It was buried in the appendix, probably where Karen hoped nobody would ever look. Turns out, with just 10 signatures, we could force a special meeting. With 20, we could call for a recall vote. We had 23. I drafted the petition, printed copies, passed it around. People signed, smiling. Some of them even laughed. I thought we couldn't do anything about her, one woman said. Well, I said, we can now. But I wasn't done. I wanted this to be airtight. So I filed a formal complaint with the state HOA ombudsman. Yes, that's a real thing. Attached every photo, every fine, every video, all the violations she had committed. Everything from biscuits off-leash joyrides to her personal use of HOA funds for administrative supplies, aka custom monogram stationery. Yeah, she bought herself monogram stationery with HOA funds. Wrote letters like she was Marie Antoinette. I also sent a private tip to the local news. Anonymous, of course. Subject line, Suburban Dictator, HOA President never legally elected. Attached evidence. Zip file. Timelines. Journalists love a good scandal, especially one with decorative gnomes and angry neighbors. And finally, I sent Karen one last email. Short, polite, formal. Per HOA Articles 6.2 and 7.1, we will be holding a special community meeting next week to discuss recent developments regarding leadership eligibility and rule enforcement. A petition has been filed and accepted by the homeowners. Looking forward to your attendance. Regards, your neighbor. She didn't reply. But that night, her porch lights stayed off. For the first time in months. Now everything's in motion. The meeting is scheduled. The neighbors are on board. The complaint is filed. And Karen? She has no idea what's coming. She ruled this neighborhood like a tyrant for years. But next week, we're taking back the crown. And when the curtain falls, she'll wish she'd just let my grass grow. The first domino fell on a Tuesday morning. Karen found the petition taped to her door, printed on plain white paper. No drama, no glitter, just facts. In accordance with HOA Bylaws 6.2 and 7.1, the homeowners of Whispering Pines have called a special meeting. Topic: leadership legitimacy, misuse of HOA authority, and enforcement inconsistencies. Date: Friday, 6 p.m. Clubhouse. I watched from my porch as she stood there in her pink robe, squinting at it like it was a prank. She read it twice, then a third time. Her mouth tightened. She crumpled the paper like it had personally insulted her and stormed back inside. Good. Let the games begin. Step 1 was just getting people to show up. HOA meetings are usually ghost towns. 5 bored people, 1 guy on his phone, Karen talking to herself. But this time we had snacks. Frank brought folding chairs. Judy brought cookies. 1 guy even brought a projector, because why not? 35 people showed up. Out of 60 homes. That's a mob by HOA standards. Karen walked in 10 minutes late, wearing a blazer like she was about to testify before Congress. She looked around and did that fake smile thing she does when she's nervous. Looks like we've got quite a turnout, she chirped. No one clapped. No one even blinked. She cleared her throat. Let's begin with old business. Nope, I said. Everyone turned. The agenda's changed. We're here to talk about you, Karen. She froze. For the first time in forever, she didn't speak, just stared, like her internal script had gone blank. Step 2, the receipts. I passed out copies of her Airbnb listing. Frank rolled the projector over and clicked through videos of Biscuit off leash. Judy read aloud the section about decorative gnomes. Dramatically, like Shakespeare. Someone brought up the unlawful election. Someone else asked about the HOA money used for stationary expenses. Karen tried to interrupt. These are personal attacks. No, I said. They're community concerns. She tried again. This is a witch hunt. A voice from the back. Then call me the witch. Laughter. Even I wasn't ready for that one. You could see her unraveling in real time. She tried to go into spin mode. I work hard for this neighborhood. I've kept us beautiful. I've sacrificed my own time, but nobody cared, because we all had stories. One by one, people stepped up and shared them. Bad fines, threatening letters, late-night inspections. 1 guy even said she asked if his American flag was the correct shade. I don't even know what that means. But Karen? She turned red. She was sweating, visibly. Her eye twitched. I almost felt bad. Almost. But here's where it got risky. We needed a vote. To remove her as president, we needed a majority of the full homeowners, not just the ones at the meeting. So we passed around a clipboard, 1 signature at a time. That was the quiet part, the nervous part. I watched the pen move down the line, house by house. Some people hesitated. What if she retaliates? She's got files on all of us. I don't want drama. But others leaned in. She fined me for having a pumpkin on my porch in November. She told my wife her roses were too flamboyant. She walked into my backyard once, didn't even knock, and slowly the signatures came. I counted each one. 25, 28, 31. We needed 31 to force a vote, and we had it. I looked at her. Karen, for the bylaws, we're initiating a leadership recall vote, effective immediately. She stood up, chair scraping hard against the tile. You think this ends me? No one responded. She looked around like she expected someone, anyone, to stand up for her. No one did. I built this community, she snapped. You rolled it, I said. We're taking it back. She grabbed her purse and stormed out, slammed the clubhouse door so hard one of the posters fell off the wall. Later that night, I found a note taped to my mailbox. No envelope, no name. Just 5 words written in shaky pen. You don't know who I am. Not signed, but I knew who it was from. Karen had left the meeting, but she hadn't left the fight. I checked the cameras, double-checked the locks, told my wife everything. Ellie was already asleep. She didn't need to know yet, but I sat in the living room with the lights off for a long time, just thinking. Karen was cornered. And when people like her feel cornered, They bite. I knew we'd poked the hornet's nest. Now I just had to see if I could get out of it without getting stung. Or worse. Because the next morning, my car tires were slashed. All 4 of them. And a little gnome was sitting on my porch swing, smiling, mocking, for slashed tires. One smug lawn gnome. And somehow, the HOA board still wanted to review the evidence. Cowards. I knew Karen was behind it, but she was too careful. No fingerprints. No cameras caught her. Just the gnome. Same one she kept in her flower bed. Now chilling on my swing like it paid rent. I didn't call the cops. Not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't need to. I already had the real nuke ready to drop. Remember the Airbnb listing? The one I booked under a fake name? Well, guess what Karen didn't do? Report her rental income. Yep. I checked property tax filings. Crossed them with her short-term rental dates. The math didn't lie. She was collecting cash under the table. And the best part? She left reviews. Responded to guests. Used the HOA email for one of them. I forwarded everything to the county tax office. Subject line: unreported rental income. Whispering Pines HOA president. Attached: screenshots, timestamps, payment confirmations, a PDF of her response that said, "Let me know if you'd like extra towels, smiley face, helpful Karen." Whoops. Step 2? The ombudsman complaint. I'd sent it a few weeks earlier. Now it was gaining traction. They called me, asked for interviews, details. I gave them everything. Board meeting minutes, election records, her fake vote to promote herself. Even dug up the old HOA president's forwarding address. He confirmed he never approved her as successor. Big oops. They opened an official investigation, the kind that involves lawyers. Then came the news tip. Remember that local reporter? Turns out she loved the story. Middle-aged woman creates HOA empire, runs it like a dictatorship, finds a 6-year-old for lemonade, then gets ousted by angry suburban dads. They ate it up. Headline dropped on Thursday. The Dictator of Whispering Pines. How One HOA President Went Too Far by Jessica Lamont. Channel 6 News front page of the website. Shared over 10,000 times. Neighbors saw it. Coworkers saw it. Her church group saw it. And yes, Karen saw it. She posted a furious rant on the HOA forum that ended with, "I am the victim of a smear campaign conducted by unstable individuals who are clearly obsessed with me." It got taken down within an hour. By Friday, the board couldn't ignore it anymore. They scheduled an emergency vote. Same clubhouse. Same folding chairs. And this time, even more neighbors came. The place was packed. Even the Johnsons brought popcorn. Karen walked in late again. No blazer this time. Just a tight little smile like she still thought she could control the room. She couldn't. The board opened with the agenda. Karen asked to speak. "Go ahead," someone said, deadpan. She took a breath. "I've been serving this community for years. With no compensation. No thanks. I've kept this neighborhood beautiful, organized, and respected." A few people clapped. Like 3 out of 60. Karen nodded to herself. "I believe this effort to remove me is political, petty, and frankly, beneath this community." I stood up. "You rented your basement on Airbnb illegally. You never reported the income. You skipped a legal election. You used HOA funds for personal items. You fined people for nonsense. You stalked my family. And now?" I pointed to the projector screen. "Now you're on the news." Frank clicked play. Boom. The Channel 6 segment. Right there, big and bright. Karen's face, frozen mid-frown. Screenshot from her HOA photo. Title card beneath it, Karen L. HOA President, disputed. The whole room watched in silence. Except for one guy in the back who muttered, "Oof." When it ended, the room stayed quiet. Then the board chair stood. "We've reviewed the documentation. We've heard from the homeowners." She looked at Karen. "We're holding a final vote for removal. Effective immediately. No debate. No speech. Just hands. Those in favor?" Hands shot up, one by one. Then in clumps. Then everyone. Except Karen. She sat with her arms crossed, eyes locked on me like she was trying to set me on fire with her brain. Motion passed, the chair said. Karen L. is hereby removed as HOA president. The room erupted. Laughter. Clapping. Someone popped a soda can. Karen stood. I'll sue every one of you. Frank raised his phone. Say cheese. She stormed out. Didn't even grab her purse. Later that night, I found the gnome. Still on my swing. I put it in a box. Labeled it trophy. Set it on the garage shelf right next to my wrench set, just in case she ever comes back. Since then, no letters, no warnings, no fake police visits. Karen moved out 3 weeks later. Quietly. Middle of the night. U-Haul. No goodbye. Rumor is she tried to start another HOA in a retirement community. God help them. As for us, Ellie's riding her bike again. My wife smiles more. The porch lights stay on. And last weekend, I let the grass grow 3 inches too tall. Just for fun. No clipboard. No camera. Just peace. Finally. Except, this morning I found an envelope in the mailbox. No return address. Inside, a single photo of Karen, smiling, standing in front of a now leasing sign, and on the back, in red ink, see you soon. After Karen vanished, the neighborhood felt lighter, like someone cracked a window and let the bad air out. No more clipboards. No more mystery finds. No more creepy 6 a.m. patrols. Just silence. Birds. And the sound of Biscuit barking in the distance, because yes, Karen left the dog behind. Apparently, even Biscuit had limits. Her old house sat empty for weeks. Blinds drawn. Mail piling up. Somebody mowed the lawn once. Badly. Eventually, a for sale sign went up. Then down. Then up again. No one really wanted it. The Karen house. Even Zillow probably flagged it as haunted by bureaucracy. Meanwhile, life returned to normal. Ellie's top drawings took over the driveway again. My wife started gardening without fear of gnome-related retaliation. Neighbors talked more, helped each other, smiled in passing. We even formed a new HOA board. Volunteers, rotating terms, actual votes this time. I got asked to join. I said no, obviously. I didn't burn the dragon to become the dragon. I did keep the trophy, though. Karen's gnome now guards our porch. We call him Gary. He's seen things. And Karen? Oh, she took a hit. The tax office slapped her with a fine. Something like $5 grand. The HOA ombudsman blacklisted her from ever running a board again. Her name made the rounds on Reddit. HOA nightmare. Real suburban tyrant caught on camera. I'm told her Yelp profile now has a 1-star average. Mostly from neighbors and one guy in Colorado who just really hates gnomes. So yeah, we won. The tyrant fell. The kingdom healed. Justice came with cookies and folding chairs. And for once, I could sit on my porch, sip a drink, and not worry if my grass was 2.1 inches too tall. But there's always a but, isn't there? One morning, I checked my mail. No bills. No junk. Just a white envelope. No stamp. Just slipped in by hand. Inside, a photo. Karen, smiling wide, standing next to a new HOA sign. Same blazer, new clipboard, different neighborhood.